Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, I wanted to talk about democracy and a few problems with democracy. Now, in this channel, I usually talk about spirituality and philosophy, but if you're new here, I want to convey a very important message that politics is not different or a separate topic from philosophy or philosophical pursuit or even spirituality or even psychology for that matter. And all of them, all of the subjects that we see in science and in any endeavors are very interrelated with each other. Now, of course, you may know this, you may know that all the sciences are interconnected and but somehow we have this misconception that spiritual practice and meditation or simply contemplation is somehow different from politics. Politics actually is a, a macro aspect of deep, basic, underlying psychological aspects of you as a human being. Different theories about governance can go very deep inside your psyche, with you knowing or unknowing, because our mind experiences the world and somehow adjusts to make a worldview for itself. And spirituality is very connected to this. The way you see the world is very connected to the way you have been brought up, the way you have lived your life, the way things were governed in your life, your internal family politics, and also your connection to nature, your connection to topics like philosophy and spirituality. So all of these things really do matter and they are very interconnected with each other. In this particular video, I want to talk about democracy and why there are certain problems with democracy which go very against nature. Now, it is also important to understand that as long as you are a democratic citizen, it is your right and it is your responsibility to criticize your current democratic government. And so this video is particularly about that. This is not in the sense that I am trying to somehow complain or be too overtly judgmental. I know how to separate the emotional aspects of criticism with the actual good criticism. So, so let me begin by telling you that democracy thrives with media, and media is, especially in this day and age of technology, media is very manipulatable. Whatever you put outside in your through your organization, through your companies, whatever you advertise online in the media eventually gets into people's head and the citizens' heads. And this is kind of a hypnotization, kind of a manipulation. This is the first point that I want to talk about, which is manipulation and is it really good to manipulate using media. Now, we don't talk about media because it is especially the politicians who are striving to be in the office and in the parliament are trying to maintain their seat. That is why they really never or talk about regulation of media. Even if they do, they wouldn't really try to tell you the truth. But since I am not in politics and I am not desiring to be in politics, I can tell this to straight ahead how there are so many things that in place, mechanisms in place that are leading a person towards manipulation. And think of it like self-hypnotization. Now we think that hypnotization is bad somehow, that a person who is under command and under a spell, who is unconscious and under a spell, is being manipulated. But when you are giving consent on your phone to participate in media consumption, you are also open to consuming media, whatever the highest monopolized companies are putting out in these platforms. You are giving consent to hypnotizing yourself. Now, regulation of media is a very tricky thing to do, especially in a democracy where free speech has immense value and why and expression is something that everybody should do, especially in the major form of media. If it is social media, then it should be what you use to produce content instead of consume too much content. And so technological process or progress cannot really be stopped by politicians because it will be against media. And most of technological progress is to enhance connection, enhance communication, enhance information spending with each other. Now, the misuses of media are apparent, and that's what I'm really pointing out towards. And some things that we should think about. This is not something that that I myself have practically. I do not really have a practical solution to that, and I don't see technological progress stopping in the near future. But unless and until people are aware of the pros and of the cons, we are somehow separate and detached from the from self-hypnosis, for example. Now, the since the politicians will never talk about it, since the media personalities will never talk about it, I think it is very relevant that this conversation take place. So, if you're new here, I highly recommend you comment down in the section below of what you think about media and why do you think that it should be limited or it should be regulated, or what do you think about media and its relation with democracy? Now, I want to talk a little bit about democracy again and one another problem with democracy that that is this worldview that is related with democracy where everybody has equality. Now, we know the most famous book in politics, we know the most basic book, basic philosopher and very famous philosopher called Plato. And his books, we have seen how Socrates in his books has went against democracy, which was highly prevalent before their era. And so they established something called a republic, where there was a system of clergymen, where there was a system of guardians of the society. In a democracy, we do not have such a worldview. We assume and we think that people are equal when it comes to voting, when it comes to having a right in the parliament, having a voice. It is imposed upon all kinds of people that they must treat everybody else equally. And so there is a conflict among the youth and among the younger generation where they assume that the moral standard is to treat people equally regardless of their race, religion, their philosophical opinions, whether they are politically aligned to something, and so on. Of course, everybody has a right to express themselves and be expressive regarding their opinions, but we see that a lot of these the opinions are framed in a democratic writing kind of a way where a person is writing or presenting their opinions in a manner that is filtered and that is suitable for everybody else also. That includes everybody else also. Now we see that inclusion has definite benefits, that there are obviously a lot of good things that come from inclusion and diversity, but assuming equality as a moral standard is not a right thing. It is in fact against nature. If we look at nature closely, we see that things are really not that equal. Human beings are not that equal with each other. There are people who are trained in different way, and there are people who are born with certain qualities, certain talents. Human beings are not like animals, of course, but human beings are different there. Even if we look at our own family, for example, you see that none of your brothers or your siblings are like you. You are unique in your own experience. You are an individual on this planet Earth, facing different experiences, having different talents, growing different skills. Yet, in the eyes of the government, of course, we are all equal, but it is not your duty to be and treat everybody equally. You can judge and be a good judge. You need not equalize everybody. You need not in your mind or in your or put your moral standard where you are somehow supposed to force yourself to look at people equally. At the end, at the root of all your experience, you are one with your brother, you are one with your sister, you are one with the whole universe. But you see, you are an apple, and there are oranges, there are grapes, and there are some bitter grapes, and some bitter oranges also. So, thank you for watching this video. If you have any comment about, or if you disagree with me or agree with me in anything, I highly recommend you comment down in the section below so that we can have a conversation about it. And this is not a serious thing that I'm trying to impose upon anybody else. I'm simply open to chatting with you and everybody who watches this video. So thank you, and feel free to subscribe to my channel, like the video, or share it to somebody else. Thank you, and bye bye.